Sorry, it's got 7 views and 1 dislike. Luckily, we're not talking about their team today, so we don't
I can make it so that there's 2 dislikes right now.
do whatever you want, man. But right now, our focus is season 3, episode 3. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Designated Players Podcast. Look on the board. We've got it on the board today. I've renamed this segment because, as you mentioned before we started recording, we're going to have to go through this pretty quickly, and we're probably going to miss stuff. So this year, it's the 2022 not so deep dives because they're not going to go super deep. We're going to go ahead and go through each team a little bit more in-depth than we usually do, but not as in-depth as most people like, because you can never please everybody, can you?
You could try.
Yeah, but that just sets you up for failure, don't it?
It's just too much work too.
Yeah. So this is going to be a 2-week long segment. So we're going to have 2 episodes this week, 2 episodes next week, all deep dives, all teams, 28 teams, 7 teams an episode. Try and keep it close to an hour. As long as Connor doesn't say dumb stuff, we'll be okay, as usual. But before we do any of that, what you rocking for scarf of the week?
I have a question. Why don't you ever ask me what's up? You always, you always say like, "Oh, what's up, guys? Welcome back." You never ask me what's up.
Because here's the thing, I don't care.
Well, that's just rude. But I only have 2 scarves for the teams that we are going over today, and the last one I wore in the last episode. So this week it's got to be Nashville.
Oh, is that new?
It is, but I don't remember whether or not I've showed it before.
I like it because it's different from the one I was expecting, but it looks nice.
This is the band together Nashville.
Yeah, I like that. That's it.
A nice one.
I like that a lot. I think that's a good touch. Myself, of course, as you can see, the first team on our list is the future MLS Cup champions.
Yeah, it looks like some warm balls right there. Of course, Red Bull ends up being first, huh?
So we brought out a Red Bull digital scarf, and genuinely randomizer. It wasn't me. It was a randomizer. That's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. Should we just jump right into it? My phone. I got to turn the ringer off on my phone because I'm going to keep getting updates about all of our clips that are going to be going live, which everybody should be checking out. Where, Connor? Where should they check them out?
Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube.
Yeah, Facebook too. I know you're a boomer. You don't use Facebook.
Oh well, I didn't know if we posted the clips on Facebook.
I don't post the clips on Instagram. I only post them on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube because Instagram.
Don't you post them on TikTok too?
Well, whenever I get.
All right, we're wasting too much time here. Like we don't have this time to
waste. We're gonna cut this out anyway. It don't matter. I'm here with Grace. She's sniffing the ground. We're doing great. Should we just dive right into Red Bull?
Yeah.
The New York Red Bulls, the Red Bull New York, managed by Gerard Struber, and I guess technically his second year, unless you want to count the one game he managed in 2020. But entering his second full year last season, finishing 7th in the East, 13-12-9 record with 48 points, just barely sneaking in on the back of a phenomenal 15-game run to get ourselves in there. In my opinion, after going through the players on the roster right now, February 5th at 2:40. So certain players may not be signed when you're listening to this, or we may just overlook them or whatever. Don't come at us if somebody gets signed after the 5th. Okay, great. Probably going to go back to the 5-3-2 look right now with who's on the roster. So Cornell in goal, Nealis and Nealis right back and center back with Reyes and Long. Right now they're looking at Tolkien at left back. That's kind of their only real option because it looks like Jason Pendant's gone. Yearwood and Amaya in the middle after losing Sean Davis. Caceres up at right wing with Morgan and Klamala left wing and striker. There is a player who is rumored to be about 99% signed to Red Bull named Luquinhas. If he comes in, he'll either slide into that left wing spot, right wing spot, and then Caceres will drop down, or They might even change formation and go with like a simple 4-2-3-1 like we used to in the old days. So with that signing, it would be very interesting to see what the shape looks like and what Struber does with that group. So keep an eye out for that for sure. Did they improve during this window? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely lost a couple of players that I think they'll definitely miss out on, like Sean Davis and Fabio. But I think that they replaced them pretty well, honestly. Bringing in Lewis Morgan will definitely be a good replacement for Fabio, assuming they play him as like a second striker. But locking down Cornell is definitely good. Yeah, and then bringing in the crop of guys that they did, as you've talked about a lot, it seems like it's in panic mode a lot of the time at Red Bull, but they've done a good job in bringing guys in and improving the team and, making sure that this is a team that has the quality to make the playoffs again. So I would say that they did improve. I wouldn't say that they like drastically improved because I still think the team was pretty talented last year, but yeah, I think on paper they look good going into the season.
That's kind of the way I put it too, right? They improve, but not by much. Nealis is probably not a step up on Duncan at the right back spot. Long is going to come in and he's who knows? I mean, he's coming back. It sounds like his rehab is going well. Taking Tolkien out of center mid is probably not ideal. Morgan's a good step for Fabio, but they're still missing players that they still need. Are probably a Sean Davis replacement. And a little bit of striker depth. Right now, it's Klamala and our good buddy Tom. So
Tom Barlow.
Definitely missing that depth. And that seems to be, that seems to be where a lot of teams are right now, as you'll see when we go through this, is a lot of teams are missing that depth of if somebody goes down, who's next. And that's just because we're early in the window, right? Who do you think their best addition was? And I know this, I know your answer already for this.
Lewis Morgan. I'm not going to go with Cornell here because I know he was. I think that was their best move, but their best addition, I'm going to say, is Lewis Morgan.
Okay, cool. I mean, I also put Lewis Morgan, but I thought you were going to go Cornell.
Yeah, but he's not exactly like an addition because he was here last year. I know they made the move to make him permanent, but I consider like an addition, somebody who wasn't here previously. So I'm going to say Morgan in this case.
Okay. That's cool. I also said Morgan. I thought, he can play at the right wing back spot. He can play on the wing. He can play on the second striker. He's, he's pretty decent in front of goal. He's got a lot of really good attacking qualities. So I think it's a pretty good pickup there. Biggest loss for me, Sean Davis, obviously. Captain, played every minute, top 10, in our opinion, top 10 center mid CDM in the league. That's a big hole to fill, and they haven't quite done it yet. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. Excuse me. It'll be interesting to see what they do to fix that for sure. Pick one player from this team. Excuse me. Pick one
okay
player.
Over there?
No. I drank a lot of water. I needed to burp and I didn't. It was like stuck. Pick one player going into 2022 as a player to watch. Somebody you think might break out or is going to be a really big addition.
I am keeping my eye on John Tolkien this year. I think this is the year that he makes his mark in the league and solidifies a place in this team, and then inevitably gets that move to Europe by the end of the season. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on Tolkien.
Interesting. I'm also trying to take care of Grace here, who's whining because there's a cat outside. She wants to go chase it, but she will not. Obviously, in 2022, if in case anybody is not heard, it's the year of Omir.
Why do you specify 2022 when you say it every year?
No, I'm just kidding. Wiki Carmona is going to be 22 under 22 this year. Like, I'm convinced. He was on a short list at the end of the year as like 20 under 20. It wasn't like an official thing, but people like to watch out for next year. And I think that again, depending on the shape that they use and the tactics, I think he's going to have a big role to play. He's already getting massive minutes for Venezuela and World Cup qualifiers and things like that. So I think he's going to have a really good year and an under the radar type of move, depending on if they go out and buy any more players. Omar Sow, he was a USL guy we brought up last year, who is just he's massively athletic and has really good size, raw in terms of talent, but he might give us some solid minutes, kind of like instead of Barlow minutes. One line, one question, one statement. What's the biggest question going into this season for New York Red Bull?
For me, right now, the question is who replaces Sean Davis, because we've yet to see that. Fabio was the other, I would say, bigger departure, and I think they replaced him well with Morgan. But with Davis kind of leaving somewhat recently, there's still a need to fill that role for Red Bull. And I'm curious to know if they try to bring somebody in like outside of the organization, or do they bring someone from another Red Bull affiliate? Do they just promote somebody from Red Bull 2? So it's kind of a short-term outlook on a big question going into the season, but I think it's the one that's on my mind at the moment. It's just what they're going to do to fill that spot.
Sorry, she kept whining, so she went outside. I gave it. I like that. I think that's obviously a massive question. I went more attacking. Is Patrick Klimala going to break out and become a double-digit goal scorer this year? We haven't had a double-digit goal scorer since BWP, and it has shown in our lack of offensive ability, both in the season and at the in the playoffs. Right. He's got really nobody else to help him out. It's going to be his show. They're going to try and use him as a lone striker. They're going to try and do a lot of things. And that's my biggest question mark for Red Bull this year, because if he doesn't produce, we don't win. All right, last question for Red Bull before we move on. Where do they finish this year? And I know we're doing our predictions later, but give me a range, right? Give me a range of where you think they might be this year.
I think, and I will most likely change this at some point, but my current range in my head, I'm thinking lower part of the playoff picture. So like somewhere between like 4 and 7 at the moment is where I'm thinking.
That is super generous of you. I've gone 6th to 9th, either in or out, very, very much like they were this year or last year, I guess. Very, very close to that. You're either in or you're out. It's down to the wire type of thing. That's where I'm at. Anything else you want to mention about the New York Red Bulls?
I do not.
So I didn't have anything else either. But yeah, so I think they still have a few pieces they need to add, and they're definitely not at full strength yet. But will be definitely interesting to see how the rest of the preseason goes before we kick off. Let's move on.
Grace.
Grace is hyped. You can hear Grace in the background.
Oh, she's excited for this team.
She's saying, "We're number one. We're number one." We can't even do the fun guesses this time because I wrote it on the board.
Plus, I have your sheet that you made, so I know who's coming up next.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Didn't think that one through, but that's okay. We'll fix that for next time. Seattle Sounders. I can't believe some of the moves they made, but let's talk about it. Managed by Brian Schmetzer in year, what is it, 6 for him? I should have looked that up before we started.
He's been going for a while.
Very unprofessional of us. How dare we?
I'll look it up right now while you keep talking.
Second in the West last season with 60 points, 17 wins, and 9 draws. I projected them out to be in a 4-3-3 like they usually are, with Fry in goal, Roldan on the right, Yamar at center back with Sissoko and Arriaga, or Sissoko or Arriaga in the middle, depending on availability, and Nuhu Tolo out on the left. Then you've got João Paulo with Josh Atencio kind of rotating in when they need. Excuse me. I think we left off the midfield before Grace rudely interrupted us.
Yeah.
You got João Paulo, of course, an MLS MVP candidate, with Atencio kind of rotating in, getting some minutes. Ladero and Rusnak in the two kind of attacking midfield roles. Morris on the left, Roldan on the right, Rui Diaz up top. I'm not quite sure what shape they're going to come. come out, and I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of attacking center mid winger type combinations you can throw out here, and I'm just not quite sure how they're going to do it. But I think it's quite clear they improved this window. You've brought back most of the team that got you to top 2 in the West, a very difficult West, might I add, last year. And then you added one of the best attacking playmakers in the Western Conference in Albert Rusnak. Yeah, definitely improved. What do you think?
Yeah, hard to disagree there. Plus, it's not exactly an addition, but getting Jordan Morris back for hopefully the whole season is also massive for them.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. One of the things I didn't really take into account until after I had like prepped it all was like, yeah, you've got Aaron Long, Jordan Morris, players that you hadn't seen all year that are now going to be technically additions because you didn't see them for an entire year, which will be exciting. Who do they need? All right. They basically brought everybody back, but what do they need to improve on?
I'm curious. It's hard to say for sure because I don't know exactly how they're going to line up. If they go with a 5 in the back again, I would say they need someone on the left, most likely, because Brad Smith isn't here anymore. So it's kind of open. I know that there are guys that can play there. Like I'm pretty sure Nuhu can play out there. And I don't know if Jimmy Madronda played on the left or if he was rotating.
He was a left-sided guy. Yeah.
Madronda played well. I don't know if he's your guy to be like your out-and-out starter, but that's definitely an open spot there. And then if they were to play with 2 midfielders, I mean, they could go with like obviously João Paulo is going to play, but potentially that other midfield spot could be open depending on what they want to do. I don't know if they want to go with like Josh Atencio or someone else, some other young midfielder. So I think more so for me, the question is if they go 5 in the back, who's going to be the left wing back? Is it going to be Nuhu? Is it going to be Madronda? Is it going to be someone else they bring in? But that's, I feel like, the spot where they could solidify a little bit more. But otherwise, this team is so well-rounded, it's hard to pick.
That's exactly
what they need.
That's exactly what I said. I go, their midfield set, you got Rui Diaz up top with either Will Bruin or Montero off the bench. That's pretty good. If you want to throw either one of them up there, they can pair together. But that outside back spot on the left is a little open. Not terribly open, but just a little bit.
Yeah.
Best addition. I mean, Rusnak was really the only one they made. Biggest loss. Brad
Easy
Smith.
choice.
Yeah, Brad Smith was their biggest loss, right?
Feels like the only player they lost too.
Exactly. Sure there wasn't a lot of movement in this team.
They didn't need it. They didn't need a lot of movement. This team is so talented.
Why fix what isn't broken, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I want you to pick one player.
One player to watch. Jordan Morris, easy one for me. I want to see how he comes back this year after missing basically the entire season last year. Obviously, we know how talented and fantastic he can be. I mean, you talked about it when he went off to Swansea about how he was the guy where once he left, that changed everything for Seattle. That didn't end up being the case really because Seattle just seems to be super flexible and great at balancing the players that they have. But
Brian Schmetzer is a wizard.
Yes, but I still think that Seattle is. I still think that Jordan Morris is incredibly talented and needed for this team, and if he stays healthy, I think this is a big year for him.
I agree. I said Josh Atencio or Danny Leyva or Reed Baker Whitting, any of those guys who are like 16 and 18 getting looks from Prem teams and stuff like that, see what type of impact they're going to make. I know Atencio played a good amount last year, so did Leyva a little bit. So any of those guys I'm interested to keep an eye on. But the biggest question for me with this team, and I mentioned it earlier in the segment, how in the heck are you going to fit the front 6 of Roldan, João Paulo, Rusnak, Morris, Ladero, Rui Diaz all together in one system, right? You figure that out, you're not losing a game all year. But that's a tough puzzle to put together.
Yeah, my biggest question was kind of along similar lines. Mine was more so, what are they going to do with Nico Ladero? I kind of, at the moment, I kind of almost feel like they're going to play him as a super sub. And seeing as how he hasn't played a ton lately, obviously he's still incredibly talented, but is getting up there in age and battling some injuries. So I kind of almost figure he would be more useful as almost like an Ilsinho, just like super sub off the bench to be that creative piece late in games if they need a goal. And I think Rusnak probably comes in is more so the starter, but that's just my guess. I mean, it's my question for a reason because I don't know for sure.
I'm sorry, who did you compare him to?
Ilsinho,
Who?
your favorite player,
Who?
Ilsinho, the
Never
one
heard,
that torments Red Bull,
never heard of him.
still torments Red Bull,
I don't know what you're talking about.
living rent free in your head.
Clearly not, 'cause I don't know who it is, but um, yeah, no, I think that'd be very interesting to see. One of them is probably going to get dropped, so who
Yep.
it is would be interesting. All right, give me a range. Where are they finishing?
I think they got to finish either like I'm thinking first through third in the West.
Right.
I can't see them dropping any lower than that.
Yep, I got them top three. Remaining in Cascadia, we move. Geography. We move down the coast to Portland, Oregon, where the Portland Timbers were managed by Gio Savarese, finished fourth in the West last year, 17, 13, and 4, with 55 points, and went to MLS Cup before losing in penalties. The issue is lots of turnover on this team. Maybe not lots, but enough to be worried. Starting in goal, they lost Steve Clark, which means currently they are looking at either David Bingham or Ivacic, which I don't think he got too much game time. I'll be honest with you, at right back, I don't know who they're going to play there.
I think what it was like Van Rankin last year.
Yeah, and Van Rankin's gone. I don't think they actually have a.
He's still on the roster at the moment. I don't know if he is gone or not.
Is he? When I went to Transfer Market, he is not there.
This may not be updated. I'm not sure, but this is MLS's website.
Yeah, no, MLS might not have updated, but Transfer Market's been pretty up to date, and he's not on there. So right now, I'm going to put in Pablo Bonilla. He's the only one there who could do it, and I guess Luis Mabiala. But if you're crazy enough to take him out of center back, you probably don't get a job. But anyways, right back, Bonilla, center back, Mabiala and Zuparic, with left back of the year, Claudio Bravo. Extra time, we're talking to you.
Let me quick update for you. There is an article 2 days ago that says Van Rankin is set to re-sign with the Timbers. So
he's coming back. Cool. So
yes.
As of right now, it's Bonilla, but in 45
it's most
minutes,
likely going to be Van Rankin.
In 45 minutes, it might be Van Rankin. Two CDMs, Diego Chara, David Ayala, their new signing, interchange with Christian Paredes, George Fachivi, with Sebastian Blanco newly resigned right in front of him. Moreno or Andy Polo on the left, with Chara and Aspria on the right, and then Mora and Nias go to, interchanging again up top there. So a lot of really good attacking options, but they are thin in the back line. Do you think they improved?
I mean, seeing as how they didn't bring anybody back and lost their starting goalkeeper, I'm going to say no. I mean, I should say they did bring people back. They didn't sign anybody new, but seeing as how they didn't sign anybody new and lost their starting goalkeeper, I'm going to say no, they didn't improve.
So they did bring in David Ayala, the center defensive mid from Colombia, question mark.
Oh yeah, their U22 initiative. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so then I'm going to say they didn't improve. I don't think they really improved, but I don't think they really got worse either.
That's fair. Okay, I'm sorry. He's from Argentina. He came from Estudiantes. So, however, they got him and they brought Blanco back, and if Van Rankin comes back too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brought in two backup goalkeepers, lost Clark. I'm going to say that they didn't improve per se, but didn't necessarily get worse, kind of like you said. Yeah. Another big one, right? Somebody, Diego Valeri's gone. I know he didn't play a super large amount, but he's gone too, and that's Portland history right there.
Yeah, that's
So
the
that's
face of the team.
Yeah, that's massive there. So I'm going to say no. And I'm going to say that things that they need are outside back help, right? We talked about the right back. A starting goalkeeper that's not David Bingham. I love David Bingham. I think he's a great shot stopper, but not David Bingham. And some sort of central playmaker. I like Sebastian Blanco out wide, creating in the wide spaces. And I think they need to bring somebody who can be a true number 10.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Best addition, like we just talked about, they didn't really bring anybody in, so David Ayala kind of takes that cake. Biggest loss for you?
I'm thinking Steve Clark at the moment, just because they haven't really replaced him. But I mean, from a sentimental standpoint, it's Valeri for sure. Like, sure, maybe on the field they won't really feel it, but I mean, this guy was the face of the team for the fans, for the for the organization. He's going to be missed, that's for sure. But I'm going to go Steve Clark at the moment.
I completely agree with that. I'm just looking for my eraser so I can clear off. Because we're on Portland. Nice. It's crooked. Nice. Yeah, Clark and Valeri for me as well. I think obviously Clark not replaced and Valeri face of the franchise, right? All right, give me that player to watch.
Ooh, it's a tough one, honestly. I'm gonna say Yimi Chara.
You love a bit of Yimi Chara, don't you?
He's pretty, I would say, underrated in the league. I think he's up there with some of the best attacking wingers in this league, but doesn't really get the recognition that I feel like he deserves. I don't know exactly why that is, but yeah, I'm going to be keeping my eye on Yimi Chara this year. I think he will hopefully start to show some more true colors of just how good he is.
It's a cop out. I think the right answer is Blake Bodley.
Blake Bodley, yeah.
Yeah, he got a little bit of time last year, worked himself in, but with all the kind of players getting a bit older and moving around, and I think he'll get some more time, and he might be the next homegrown in line for Portland to break out here. So I'm going to ask you, what's the biggest question going into this year for Portland Timbers? What do they need to think about?
I'm going to say they need to think about goalkeeper. I think Steve Clark was good for them. He wasn't top of the league for them, but I still think that they downgraded and bringing in Bingham, not by a lot. I don't think Bingham is obviously terrible. Like he'll still get the job done, but I worry with how thin the back line is that you don't bring in a very solid goalkeeper. Feels like Portland's in that MLS 4.0 scenario where they're gonna win every game 8-6, which will be super exciting to watch. But yeah, I want to see how they replace him. I don't know if they'll go with a homegrown. Will they go with an outside signing? I don't know. Will they do nothing and go with Bingham for the full year? I guess we'll just have to see.
Actually, here's some information for you. Something that I just picked up here. I didn't do a ton of research into him while I was trying to kind of speed prep this. Ivacic has 23 clean sheets in 82 games for the Slovenian league. He is a Slovenian champion, Slovenian Cup winner, and has just about 133 professional appearances at aged 28. So I think he's probably in line to be number one with David Bingham as his backup.
Okay. Still, okay. I guess my question is, how does he transition into MLS? Because I can't imagine the Slovenian league is similar to this league.
He does have 7 appearances so far for Portland. He got 90 minutes against the 6-1 win against San Jose, 90 minutes in the 2-1 loss to Real Salt Lake. He is hurt consistently. Goodness me.
That's why I got Bingham as a backup.
Yeah, then he lost to Minnesota. He played 50 minutes in a 1-1 draw against San Jose. Yeah, so he was their bench guy when Clark was hurt, but I think he's next in line to make that step.
Yeah, I would think he's probably also the starter too.
My big question was last year a fluke? Did they get lucky? They went on a crazy run. Was it all just kind of running on momentum? Are they really as good as they are? How do you repeat last year? What do you have to do to get the same results that you did last year in a very tough Western Conference? Especially if you don't bring back Van Rankin, which I think he will, but without Steve Clark in goal making some saves, without Diego Valeri making his impact sub appearances, how do you repeat that?
Yeah, I'm going to change my question really quick since we kind of answered the goalkeeper one, but
Ooh.
My question is going to be who starts at striker? I think the question was there for a while because they had Mora, Niascota, and Abobasi. Obviously, Abobasi's out of the picture now, and Mora kind of seemed to lock down that starting spot. But will Mora be able to keep it, or does Niascota get some game time and start to win that spot back? So I think Mora's probably the starter going into the season, but Niascota is definitely good enough to make that a conversation.
Sure. All right. I have them finishing 4th to 7th in the West, anywhere in that range, lower half playoff.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I'd say like fourth to 6th.
Okay. Cool. Watch. They're gone. Moving in to DC United. Where do I have them finishing? We'll just skip to the end. Dead last. They suck. Just kidding.
You sound like a hater.
No, definitely not. Hernan Losada takes over for his second year, I believe. He finished 8th last season, just a point out of the playoff spot, 14, 15, and 5 with 47 points. Played in a 3-4-3 a lot last year. So in that shape, you would see Hamid in goal, Pines, Birnbaum, and Heinz Ike in the back three, with Brad Smith at his new club on the left, with Andy Nahar on the right, which I think would be very, very successful for both of those players. Russell Canales and Moises and Nyman in the midfield, with Flores, Gressel, and Kamara kind of making up a front three. That Gressel at right wing is going to be interesting. What do you think?
He's going to be playing right wing or like right wing back? So are we talking Gressel as a right wing or a right wing?
Yeah, back? Gressel is a right wing. What do you think?
I like it. I think we kind of touched upon it when we talked about our top 5 players at each position, but Gressel is much better going forward than he is defensively. So if he plays on the wing, he doesn't have to track back nearly as much or have that much defensive responsibility. I don't think he necessarily has like the pace and like the dribbling that a typical winger would have, but I still think he has really good creativity, vision, passing. So I still think he would be definitely very useful as a winger.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I don't know. It's been a while since he played in that role. It's better when he's serving the ball in from early. Did you say that we talked about him in a previous something?
Yeah, previous episode.
Oh, I'm sure there are people who haven't checked it out. They should definitely go back and check that out.
Season 3, episode 2.
Oh man,
last episode.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they roll that out, because they've got some good players on the wing, and you're going to have to sit somebody. Yeah. Did they improve? Did they get better?
Well, did we go over all the players that they brought in?
Let's talk about the players they brought in.
Yeah, then we can decide if they improved or not.
Well, who'd they bring in?
I think they made the permanent signing of Heinz Ike, right?
Brandon Heinz Ike, yep.
Looks like they brought in a forward. Looks like Taxi Funtas.
That is a pre-contract. He'll be here in June.
Okay, but it's still that's half a season they'll get from him.
Red Bull, we're looking at him.
Yeah. Do you have any information on him since Red Bull were looking at him?
He was a Red Bull Salzburg reject who was doing okay in the Greek league.
Okay.
And he wanted DP money, and we told him no. So he went to DC where he got DP money.
It's an interesting move seeing as how they already have Ola Kamara. But maybe is he a winger or is he more a striker?
I think he's more central. Grace loves it. I think he's more central, but I don't know a ton of it.
Okay. Well, assuming that fact, then it seems a bit, unless Ola Kamara is on his way out. I know there's kind of some rumors about that, but it seems kind of weird to bring in a TP striker when you had the joint Golden Boot winner last season. Granted, he got all of his goals on penalties, but and then that seems to be about it. I mean, it looks like there's some other like homegrown additions or draft additions, but did they get better? I don't think that they did get better, honestly. I don't know that they necessarily got worse. They lost Kevin Paredes, which definitely sucks for them. I think he was due for a breakout season this year, but obviously makes sense that he makes the jump to Europe. I don't think that they really improve, like bringing in Fountas. Does that really improve that much over Ola Kamara last season? I highly doubt it. And then, oh, and they brought in Brad Smith. We forgot to mention that. I know you kind of mentioned it before, but Brad Smith is here now, I think, to replace Mora. That's probably a little bit of an upgrade in my opinion, but still, I don't think there's enough there that I can say that they like definitely improved. But what are your thoughts?
I'm going to say no. You got Smith for either Mora or Paredes, whoever's playing in that spot.
Right.
He'll do well. Whatever. They made Ige permanent. They got Sargis from Sacramento Republic. Taxifaris on a pre. They lost Paul Arriola, Emil Assad, Jordi Reyna, Joseph Mora. All players who played decent minutes. Decent.
I forgot that they lost Ariel and Assad.
Yep, both of them are gone. So
yeah,
I'm gonna go with a no.
Yeah, it
For
seems
now.
like they got a little bit worse.
For now.
For now.
We know there's time. DC United fans, hold your pitchforks. We know there's time. To change that, they got to go get themselves a proper right wing. Julian Gressel is not probably the guy you want there. Maybe a center mid. It depends on shape too, right? If they go and try and play with a 4-3-3, they need a playmaker, right? So lots of holes to fill depending on the shape that you've got. What do you think?
Yeah, I think right now it feels like they're missing a playmaker in this team. I mean, they have solid guys around most of the field, I would say. But yeah, I just think they're missing like that Nico Ladero type player. Not necessarily has to be on that talent, but more so in the play style. Someone who can kind of link the midfield and the attack together.
Yeah. I like the Brad Smith. I think that's one of their better, maybe their best addition to fill that Paredes hole. I think that's a pretty good switch there. If they're going to continue to use attacking wingbacks, he is a solid player in that role. So I like that.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah. Either Paredes or Arriola as their biggest loss. Both of them talented wingers who can change the game at a moment's notice, really. Paredes had really good explosion and speed. Arriola had Greg in his back pocket.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks to lose those guys, but I do feel like DC did really good business with them. I think they got pretty good money for Paredes, and Paul Arriola was like the record Tam signing. So,
which is a perfect FC Dallas move, by the way.
Yeah, it's a great. I still think it's a great move for DC. Obviously, it hurts to lose them because they're talented players, but I mean, you capitalized on the money. Now's the time. You got to use the money now. Make it worthwhile. So there's still time. We'll keep an eye on it, see what happens. But yeah, I'm gonna say Paredes is the biggest loss for me. I just think he was due for a big year this year. We'll see though.
Mhm. All right, give me your player to watch.
Moses Nyman.
Me too.
Yeah.
He's got
Pretty easy choice.
rumors moving to Europe soon. 22 under 22 last year. It's time for him to make that big jump and get his big money move to Europe. So definitely keep an eye on him throughout the year. Watch the progression and get ready for some offers in the millions, I think.
Yep. Agreed.
All right. What's your question?
At the moment, I'm kind of wondering how they line up this season. Are they going to try to go for a 4 at the back, maybe a 5 at the back? Do they have the personnel to do a 5 at the back? I don't really know. I mean, they have Ike and Birnbaum. They're pretty much their out and out center backs, but Andy Nahar will be in the mix in there. Oh, Donovan Pines. Yeah, I mean, they could definitely make a 5 at the back happen. Will they try to, get minutes for someone like Griffin Yao? Will they try to play 2 up top when Fontas gets here? So, I mean, that's kind of what I'm wondering at the moment, because I feel like there are a lot of guys that can get the job done here. It's just getting them in the right places.
Sure. Mine, where are your goals coming from? Outside of your pen merchant, you lost 4 of your top 5 scorers in Assad, Areola, Paredes, Reina. I think were the 4 of the 5. And then Gressel is number 5. So where are these goals coming from? Again, maybe when Taxi comes in, he's doing his job, whatever. Maybe they find a way to get Eddie Flores to do it all on his own. I don't know.
Yeah, they need Flores to step up this year.
Yeah,
big time.
Absolutely. All right, where are you putting him?
I'm thinking at the moment between like 6th and 8th, or 6th and 9th.
That's too nice.
I'm thinking they can maybe squeak into the playoffs if they do things correctly. But if they don't, then I think they just miss out.
This team is FCC bad because they're our rivals, and for the only reason. No, not really. I've got them 9th to 12th. I just don't think they've replaced the right people yet. And again, that changes by the time predictions come in 2 weeks if they make their signings.
Yeah. Fair.
All right, back over to the West Coast.
Yes,
LAFC.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited for this one.
Managed by first-year Steve Cherundolo, 9th in the West last year, 12, 13, and 9 with 45 points. Their expected 11, I've got in a 4-3-3 with Crepeau in goal, Escobar on the right, Fall and Murillo in the middle with either Palacios or Farfan. They basically split time last year on the left. Cifuentes, I don't know. I put center mid next to left back Kellen Acosta. My fault. Kellen Acosta and Latif Blessing in the middle with Vela, either ITS or Rodriguez on the left, and Arango on the right. This is a dumb question, but did they improve?
Yeah, obviously. Obviously,
they were the team we both agreed had the best window so far. So that's easy. Is there anything else they need to add? What are they missing?
I would say maybe a little bit more depth up top. Question mark. I don't really know for sure. I just think even then, they still are pretty strong. I mean, they have Musovski as a backup. I don't know exactly where they would back up on the wing. I think a lot of their players, which is super helpful, can like jump around to different positions. So like maybe Latif Blessing ends up somewhere in the front in the attack, as opposed to being in the midfield, and then you bring in like Janela or something, or Illy Sanchez. So it's hard to say exactly where they should improve. I would say maybe they could get slightly more deep in their attack, but that's about the best I could think of.
I said maybe some more like pure number 8 depth. They've got Acosta, who's kind of more of a 6, Blessing is more of a 10. You said Janela's kind of there, more of a 6. Cifuentes more of a 10. There's no real like Dax McCarty, Sean Davis. type of two-way, pick up the ball, connect it to the next line type of guy.
You clearly didn't watch Kellen Acosta play against Honduras. My guy was
No.
he was a
I'm
set
not.
piece
Notice
expert.
I didn't say a number 8. I said number 8 depth. They need
No, I know. I'm just busting your chops. Kellen Acosta can play wherever he wants, though.
And he will still be the GOAT. I get it. Best addition for you?
This one was Kerpo for me. I went over this in the episode when we talked about it, but Kerpo is my I think my best intra-league move of the window. So
basically what Connor's saying is every time he goes to sleep at night, he pulls up a picture of Max Kerpo and just says, "Thank you for existing." And then he goes to bed.
What's it? Is it the like X-Men meme where they like put him in the picture frame? That's me with Kerpo. I mistakenly thought that he was Canada's number 1 because I remember him playing a few games at the Gold Cup, but I still think he's talented enough to slide right into that Canada team and keep them top of CONCACAF. So I still stick by it that Kerpo is their best addition, but Kellen Acosta is a very close second for me.
Yeah, Connor's basically Canadian. He's switched allegiances at this point. Kellen Acosta for me. After that game against Honduras and everything that we watched about him, I am a massive fan. So best addition for sure. We can pull out numbers, but we don't need numbers to know that a left back playing center mid and still being the best in the league. Fantastic. Biggest loss for me, Atuesta, obviously massive hole to fill, but I think Acosta's going to be pretty fine there.
Yeah, they'll be okay. It is a big loss because he was so good in this league, but they've replaced it easily.
Sure. All right, give me your play to watch.
Carlos Vela for me. I am very much curious to see if we see MVP Carlos Vela, or are we going to see the start of the decline for Vela? For the sake of LAFC, I really hope that he does get back to his MVP level because he was just so fun to watch. I kind of feel like if I had to make a prediction, it would kind of fall in between. I don't necessarily think he's going to hit his MVP level probably ever again, but I still think that he will be a very talented, useful player and one of the best in the league. So I'll be keeping an eye on him for 2022.
For me, it was Mamadou Fall. Small sample size last year. We looked pretty good. Want to see if he can stretch that out over the course of the season. You know, all 30 whatever games, 34 plus playoffs. It'll be a challenge, right? There's not a lot of depth, so he needs to be healthy for now.
He's an exciting one to watch. Good pick.
Oh yeah, young, promising, definitely going to be one to watch for sure. All right, here's my question. I asked it last episode. I'm going to ask it again. Can Steve Cherundolo get attackers to do their job? We've seen what defensive-minded coaches can do to talented attackers. I'm going to bring up Greg, and I'm going to bring up Frank de Boer. I'm going to bring up both of them who had fantastic attacking teams and made them anemic. Both of them defensive-minded defenders. Can Steve do it on a rainy day in LA? I don't know. Is he going to find a way to let these guys play? Don't over micromanage. Don't try and over tactic. Just say, here's the ball, go play. That's all he's got to do. That's my big question.
Yeah, same question for me. I'm very much going to be watching what Cherundolo does and seeing if he can right the wrongs of Triple G. Because ever since you mentioned that, I've been like watching the USMNT games a little bit differently and just noticed that, I think you're right. It's just he can't seem to figure out like a good attack for the team. He's very defensive minded. So
yeah. All right, where are they finishing?
Man, I'm very high on LAFC this season, but
I know you are.
I think you have a fair point, and maybe it takes Cherundolo some time. Maybe he doesn't work out at all. So I'm gonna go 2 through 4 at the moment to play it a little safer. But I still think this team on paper absolutely has the talent to top the West. But that's what I'll say. I'll say 2 through 4.
I've got him 3 through 6 for the exact same reason. I think it takes him a little bit of time. I think they start off slow and they find a way. And I think it's probably closer to 3 to 5, but I like to give that 4 spot range. So Anything else you want to say about your secret boyfriend?
It's not my. They're definitely my West Coast team to watch this year. I will try to tune into a few of their games at least.
Well, Grace doesn't believe you. Grace thinks that there's something going on because she's barking. Let's move over to the Music City, baby. Nashville, Gary Smith in charge, third in the Eastern Conference with 54 points after 12 wins, 4 losses, and 18 ties. This team never lost, but they never won either. I've got them in a 4-4-2 narrow shape with the addition of Sean Davis now. Joe Willis in goal with Eric Miller currently at right back, Zimmerman and Romney in the middle with Daniel Lovitz on the left. Godoy is like a holding 6 with Davis and Anunga as kind of 8s. Hadi Mukhtar, of course, at the 10 spot. Sapong and then either Bunbury or Rios next to him playing as a second striker. Any objections to that?
No, I don't think so.
They didn't have a lot they needed to build on after having a very good season last year. They did lose Alistair Johnston, but they did add Sean Davis. I'm going to say even split, no improvement, no reduction there.
I'm going to say they slightly improved. I think this team added a bunch more depth. Probably didn't change really the first team much, but yeah, definitely losing Alistair Johnson sucks. But bringing in Sean Davis is not a like-for-like replacement, but still, I would say pretty like-for-like in terms of production on the field.
I like the way you approach that with the team. We were talking about how teams really need to start filling out depth. They did that. I think that's a really good way to look at that. What do they need? What do they need to do to get to be much improved?
I mean, my question right now, because I kind of zoned out while you were going over who you think would fill this position.
Unbelievable.
I think you said Eric Miller, but I'm very curious to see what they do replacing Alistair Johnson, because that's a loss for sure.
Well, we're talking about players that they need. We're not talking about questions to ask for those.
I know, but
so stop jumping
I think that they need a right back. I think
okay, so you're going to say right back.
Yes.
That's your final answer.
Yes.
That's so hard. Why you got to make things so difficult?
Because I like to.
Okay. Yeah. No, I said the same thing. Right back, outside back depth. Lovitz is kind of the only. I mean, it's Lovitz and Taylor Washington, and then you've got Eric Miller, and that's it on the right. So just something to keep in mind for their next couple weeks and when they're trying to build. Best addition, Sean Davis, because he's a Red Bull. Biggest loss, Alistair Johnston, 2 pretty easy ones. Give me your player to watch.
Oh, that's a tough one.
No, it's not.
No? Then why don't you give it?
Because you go first. I want to yell at you.
All right, well, I'm going to go Jack Mayer as my one to watch.
I told you it wasn't hard.
All right. Don't need to come in with a bunch of sass.
That's what I'm here for.
Maybe I want to watch Alex Wheel.
But that's not a player. I mean, we all are watching Alex Mouille. That's not like you need to watch it. Everybody knows. This is like wow, I didn't think about that.
All right, what's your question?
Well, I was going to build on Jack Mayer for a second.
All right, go ahead.
Number 2 overall pick in 2020. Really rebounded well after getting his house address.
After he got doxxed by the team. He'll still never get over that.
That is the most MLS thing I've ever seen, and I love it. He may get bumped out of a starting spot based on a formation change, depending on the way that they want to approach this. But he's going to fight, and he may, end up displacing, Dave Romney, I guess, because I don't think you're displacing Walker Zimmerman in this team.
Oh, no.
So it'll be interesting to watch. I'm going to keep an eye on him and the way that he plays for sure. My question, how in the heck is Gary Smith going to utilize the talent that is on his roster? At certain positions, I'm talking, attacking positions, He is literally 4 deep with starting caliber players. He's got 4 strikers right now that he could just at a dartboard, and that guy will start and play fine. Is he going to be in a spot where he got too much talent and he's going to keep players who should be playing on the bench while the players who are out of form he keeps in there? How's he going to approach this? That's
Yeah,
my question.
I think people will think that's like a good problem to have. But we asked the same question of Caleb Porter last year, and Columbus ended up missing the playoffs. So it's not as easy or as good of a problem probably as people think.
That's absolutely my mindset.
Yeah. My question is, can CJ Sapong repeat what he did last season? I feel like it was a bit of a breakout for him. Not to say that he wasn't producing prior to that, but I think he really had a very strong season last year. Can he keep all this attacking depth on the bench for the season? It'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. I got them finishing anywhere between 3rd and 6th in the East. I don't think they're top 2, but I don't think they're out of the playoffs.
I'm gonna say 2 through 5. And no, I'll say 2 through 4. 2 through 4 for Nashville. Probably similar to where they were last year.
Top half. All right. I like that. I'm going to erase them off the board, and we are going to move into our final team of the episode, the Columbus Crew. Caleb Porter entering year 3. I want to say year 3. Let's go with year 3. That sounds close. 9th in the East last year, also on 47 points, 13, 13, and 8, just missing out by a point. They've made some good moves, lost a few people. Let's talk about it. I've got them lining up in a 3-5-2 this year, with the addition of Dejanek, the Australian international, Mensah, and Williams in the back 3, playing Steven Moreira as kind of like a right wing back, and the new signing Yaboa as a left wing back-ish type of spot. Nagbe and a healthy Artur in the middle with Zelarayan ahead of them, and Zardes and Berry. I think that's the best way that you approach that. I could be wrong on the shape. I'm probably wrong on the shape, but that's my assumption here. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think I would probably agree. This team isn't as deep as they were last year, but still, I would say a very deep team. A lot of players could move things around a lot like last year. I feel like they rotated players and positions all the time. So hard to say for sure exactly how they're going to line up, but I would say I would probably agree with what you said.
Yeah, the only real left back they've got on roster right now was drafted out of, oh gosh, what is that? The Campbell University Fighting Camels.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of them before.
Yeah, Jake Morris, Aiden Morris's brother. And I don't think that he is
as good as Aiden.
Not even that. I just don't think he's ready to play yet. So the only other choices you have at the left back spot are Jonathan Mensah and Josh Williams, and I don't think you're going to do that. So I wouldn't be shocked to see a Yaboa kind of roll into that spot. Did they improve during this window? What do you think?
At the moment, I kind of feel like they about stayed put. I don't think that they necessarily improved, but I don't think that they necessarily got worse either. So it's kind of where I'm at on them.
I am going to say no. You have lost, and I want to make one more comment on this Yaboa thing. Very easily could this turn into they sign a left back in the next 2 days who's ready to go, and he goes back to playing right wing or wherever he belongs, and it's over. But he's the only guy I can see sliding in there right now. I'm going to say no. You lost a lot of backline players: Harrison Awful, Waylon Francis, Vito Wormgore, Milton Valenzuela, Also traded away Seb Berhalter and Abu Kaita. Did bring in Dejanek and Ani Baba for some depth in the back and Yeboah on the wing. Had some re-signings and some homegrown players, but that back line needs to be addressed ASAP with the at least with the wide players. I think their center players have been dealt with, but yeah, they need to fix that other one, the wide players.
Yeah, that's fair.
On top of that, I think outside of needing some outside back depth for sure, you are definitely going to want to start bringing in some center mid depth. You've got 3 players who could be starters for you, all who suffered really bad knee injuries last year. So you're going to want to make sure that you've got something just in case they're not ready to go. Those are my kind of player needs.
One player also to mention, I feel like, I'm not sure if you mentioned him or if we glossed over him, but I think Steven Moreira is still there.
Yeah, no, I have him in my right back spot.
Okay.
It's one of those things where every time I talk, you should listen.
I don't do that. Yeah, I would say I agree. I think outside back is definitely the area of focus at the moment.
Who's their best addition?
Did they add anybody other than Yeboah? Oh,
Yeah.
well, I guess they added a couple other people.
Yeah, they did.
I'm gonna go with Yeboah. I just think the upside is there, more so over like an addition of Ani Baba, who I think will be a good depth, but not anything super game changing for Columbus. So I'll go with Yeboah.
I went with Dejanek. I'm a defender, I'm a goalkeeper who's got defensive mindset. So that is who I went with. He'll help solidify that back line, and he'll either be a good rotational piece in a back 4, or he'll be a good starting piece in a back 3, back 5. So I think it's a really good pickup from them. Already got really good pro experience, good size and athleticism. I think he'll be a really good addition for sure. Biggest loss for me, easy, Harrison Offal, league's best right back for the last decade. That's tough. So that's an easy one for me.
Yeah, I think Moreira can do a good job though of replacing him.
Sure, no problem, but that's still tough to lose. A guy who's been the face of the league in terms of right backs is now gone.
I'm gonna say Milton Valenzuela at the moment. I know he battled injuries a lot and was like only like maybe 50% of the time actually on the field, but he was very talented. And at the moment, they haven't replaced that spot. So I think right now it's their biggest loss, seeing as how they don't really have a left back.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. All right, give me your player to watch.
I will be watching Aiden Morris this year.
No, you.
I think what?
No, you won't.
Okay, fine. I'm gonna watch Giassi's artist because he's the GOAT.
That's what I was waiting for.
No, actually, I think if I was gonna watch anybody this year, I want to watch Zelarayán. I feel like he is due for an MVP type season this season. So
ooh,
I think he was red hot to end the season last year. I think he carries it into this season. So he will be exciting to watch.
I'm watching Miguel Berry. He didn't get a lot of time with Columbus last year, right until the very end, where he scored 7 goals in the last 10 or so games. And most of that came off the bench too. He scored 2 goals in 17 minutes against Cincinnati, which was impressive. But I want to see what he can do with a full season, if he can, reach a double-digit mark and really make an impact there.
Yeah, that's a good shot.
My question, and we kind of talked about it already, for this season, what type of shape are they going to roll out in? Is it going to be back 4? Is it going to be 3 with like wingers, and you're just going to hope that Artur and friends will just sit in and kind of fall into like a back 5? And there's a whole bunch that you can do, but losing Francis, Awful, Valenzuela, and really haven't replaced the left side of that, it's going to be an interesting way how Porter attacks that issue.
Yeah, it's a fair question. I think mine is more so who starts in this team. There's a lot of guys that I feel like are still providing great depth. We'll see who's here at the start of the season, but Derek Etienne, Luis Diaz, Evan Bush is still on the team. Kevin Molino's still on the team. Aiden Morris. There's a lot of guys that can rotate in and out.
Spoiler alert: Evan Bush isn't starting.
No, probably not. I'd imagine it's Eloy Room, but
I hate to break it to you.
If Room hits like a lot of bad form, it's not like Evan Bush is incapable of getting the job done.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I'll give you that.
But yeah, this team is super deep. I'll be curious to see who they end up playing, because I feel like last year I would look a lot at who was playing, and it was like changed every week. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. That's my question: is who's going to be starting?
All right, where do you have them finishing to finish the episode? No pressure.
I think they'll finish 3 through 6, somewhere in there, 3 and 6.
What? You're out of your mind. This team doesn't make the playoffs. 8-10 in the East, just out. I think it'll be close, but I don't see them now. You have every team at 3 to 6. You can't put 7 teams in between 3 and 6. It doesn't work that way.
Watch me do it. I'll do whatever I want.
All right, we crossed the last team off. Whoosh. And that's it for part 1 of our Not So Deep Dives. Thanks for listening. Let us know what you think about your favorite team's breakdown, if it was in here. Let Connor know why he was wrong. And make sure you're following us on all forms of social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Make sure you follow us wherever you get your podcasts, so when we go and post videos. Keep an eye out on all our social media for stream schedules, for interactive graphics about what we're thinking throughout each of our episodes. You got anything else to add?
Nope.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening, and we will see you on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.